Welcome to Whose Belt Is It Anyways, where the champions are made up and who wins the rounds doesn't matter. So before we start talking about who won the fight and what we thought and all this stuff, I want to say I thought it was a great fight. Okay, it was such a good fight. I didn't really score it in real time, and I was very aware that there were some holes in Loma's game tonight or that night that were really going to impact the scoring. And we're going to talk about that stuff, but first we're going to talk about some of the most important stuff in the film study, some really great stuff. Lomachenko checking the angle, right? Now, a lot of times Lomachenko will not throw his lead hand or his rear hand when he gets to this position to secure that position, and he kind of gives away what he's doing sometimes. But as he jumps in on the line here, he's going to be throwing this shot, and he's going to be trying to get there again, see if he's going to get countered. But he's doing something different, right? He's not just doing that, right? He's going to pendulum step. He's going to try to get some lead foot dominance, control the line, and as he takes lead foot dominance, this is really interesting, Haney throws a body shot. Okay, so as soon as Lomachenko starts making it across the line and getting into position to get to that outside angle on Haney, Haney starts attacking his body. Now, this timing is very, very similar to what Teofimo Lopez did to try to secure or prevent Lomachenko from getting lead foot dominance against him, but he would throw his shots to the head. Now, I talked about it in my pre-fight breakdown that it would be a bad idea for Haney to try to go to the head. He should stick to the body, and I think that he listened. I think that he agreed, and he had a great game plan, and wound up actually, I think, we're going to talk about it later. I don't know if I have exactly a clip about it, but I think he wound up maybe hurting Loma to the body, but we're going to talk about that a little later. Now, Loma makes it to the front foot again, checking the line first, and he's going to go, right? And now Haney doesn't actually block him this time and come in with the body shot. He allows him to get the lead foot dominance and pulling to the back foot, making Loma miss this shot here. And now when he moved back into the line, I thought this was an excellent attack from Loma, but showing how dangerous it is to get allow Loma to get planted or to get into that position right there, giving him a dominant position, right? And again, excellent sequence from Loma, controlling the line here once he lands, and then controlling the line here. But that was actually supposed to be his attack, and now again quick enough to be able to strike, move his head, and land a great shot. Now again, I want to point out, Haney's going to the body here. He's still trying to get past this shot here down and come to the body. Again, I thought that was an excellent strategy from him. Now, Loma, again, checking the angle. And again, now he's about to come in, penduluming in. And again, Haney going to the body. Again, another excellent sequence. And again, a huge important part of his overall strategy, right? It was not just the idea that he was attacking Loma to the body. Like, who cares, right? It was the idea that he could do enough stuff like this, right, where Loma's coming forward, time him and disrupt his offense, right, and kind of push him off balance, and keep him from being able to follow up from those very high-risk pendulum steps, right, trying to get that lead foot dominance here. Boom, here he goes, and then getting, kind of stuffed in his position. Excuse me, guys. I was sneezing there. So, Loma coming forward. Again, a huge body shot from Haney. Over and over again. A massive part of his strategy. And again, while Lomachenko is trying to get his lead foot dominance. Okay, very important. Now, one thing that Loma wasn't doing as often as he should. This is really interesting. And again, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. But coming forward, rear hand control, right? Smashing him with the rear hand instead of the lead hand. And Devin Haney not always having an answer to that, right? Almost any time Lomachenko would throw that rear hand, he would connect and he'd be able to actually land that shot. Now, beautiful shot here, or sequence rather, from Lomachenko getting to the front foot, slipping this way. And we have Haney putting pressure on him, right? Lomachenko gets off the line, resets. He's about to take a step back onto the line. And as he does that, Haney starts attacking the line. And we can see, if we look at the rhythm and the timing, Haney trying to time his rhythm. Trying to time his stepping rhythm to move with Lomachenko getting his rhythm, but Lomachenko reads that as well, takes a slip this way, and then comes in with a pull counter, and then right off the line. Now again, real quick, this is really, really cool. Boom, jabs. He misses, right? Lomachenko missed the shot, and he comes down. Haney's moving his head. He didn't move it to where Loma thought it was going to be, but he comes down, and Haney comes back up with the body shot. I know it's not landing, and Lomachenko is trying to peel at the same time, but layering the sequences, right? Some pretty decent work there from Haney. We're going to close that one, so we're not going to talk about that later. Now, Loma coming forward, and again, this is really, really interesting because this punch was open almost all night. Loma getting to the line, down, right? And again, when we drive from the ground, we're going to drive from both feet, so we have to get down, and he goes up, and he throws this punch. Excellent shot, and then even throws it into the leaping one, catching Devin Haney with an excellent, excellent shot. And again, this is just a strategy that, for whatever reason, Loma would just get away from. He wouldn't continue following up and using those shots. Now, this was another really interesting sequence here, okay, because this is the second round, and Lomachenko is, he's already found his way onto Haney's line. He's already done some damage to him in the sequence before this, and now here he is pushing Haney to the back foot here. Boom, catches him, catches him here for sure, and then continues pressuring him, getting him off the line and into a compromised position, and then catching him again. And now he'd get him in this position against the ropes, and for whatever reason, Loma would back off, and he would reset. And again, sequences like this, this stuff like this, we're going to talk a little bit about it a little bit later. We got a couple more sequences to go before we start talking about the flow of the fight and all that stuff. But this was a really, really cool move from Haney. He's going to get to the front foot, jab. He's going to pendulum, try to get under the counter from Lomachenko, and then come in with the body shot. Lomachenko is like kind of ready still. Boom, boom, and then boom. I think he touches him, right? But just a really, really great sequence. And then on top of that, as that sequence kind of plays out, right, Devin Haney comes in and tries the same thing, right? He's going to get to the front foot, jab, pendulum, try to get to the lead foot dominance, lands the body shot, and now Lomachenko finally responding with the counter here to try to take that punch away, right? Following up and hitting him with the rear hand there. Now, the coolest sequence, right, the cool part, Haney's going to try the same thing. Jab, pendulum, gets under, and notice as he starts getting close and crossing the line, Lomachenko catches him with this shot. Lomachenko eats the body shot, and then Lomachenko follows him back with the left hand, completely by the end of this round, dominating that sequence and making Haney pay for both of those moves that he practiced or that he just tried, right? Not only the jab, but the rear hand as well. Really, really, really cool stuff in there. Now, another beautiful sequence here. Front foot, right? Comes to the back foot. And as he's doing that, Haney tries to disrupt his line, probe him. He's going to wind up pull countering, right? As Loma reads that his weight is coming, catching him with this shot. Devin Haney's going to pull himself and then kind of come back with his own body shot. Again, another pretty sick sequence and pretty deep, right? Boom, pull, boom. And he's trying to pull. He's not as good as it at that kind of stuff. And he's I don't want to say Haney has a habit of waiting, right? But his instinct after this jab was not to pull immediately. He had to wait to see what Lomachenko was doing, and now he's pulling. He's doing the right thing, but his was not as anticipatory as Lomachenko's was, right? But he does have the right idea. He saw that shot coming. He comes back and then goes right back to the body. Again, a great strategy from Haney. Now again, another sick sequence. Haney coming in on that jab, pull, eats this shot, coming back to the body, and then following it up as they both pivot off the line. It looks like Loma gets him too, but he gets him with a left hook. Again, just really, really, to be honest, it was a fun fight. It was a fun fight with some good sequences, some deep sequences. The only part, obviously I think that Lomachenko won more rounds clearly than Haney won rounds clearly. And it's really interesting because the cleanest rounds won were definitely from Lomachenko, right? And I want to point out that that sequence from round 2, right? There's a couple of clips in here that I have from round 2. Oh, he catches him here first, right? Boom, boom, and then catches him with this cross right here. Excellent, excellent shot. And now he immediately pushes Haney to the ropes right here, right after this, and catches him with 2 shots. And then allows Haney off the line, or off the ropes. He allows him to just exit the ropes in this sequence here. Right after hitting him, and hitting him with hard shots, he just allows him off. Okay? And I think there were a lot of times in the fight where Loma was counting. He wasn't trying to just win the fight. He wasn't just trying to go beat Devin Haney up and outbox him, and he was playing the timer, right? Oh, how many punches did I land? How many this, how many that? Am I ahead right now? And then you would look at the scorecard, right? If you're like tallying it up and you're like, man, he's up by like 6 punches right now. And he had 3 hard punches in this round, and Haney hasn't done anything, And then, 50 seconds have to go by, and you're like, there's no way that he's going to catch him. But the thing is Loma is not... If you let your opponent come forward, but if you're not interacting with them, if you're not feinting, if you're not probing, if you're not controlling your opponent, and you're just trying to, I don't want to say run like a Rigondeaux, right? But you're just eating time on the clock. You just allow your opponent to score free punches, And there were a lot of times in the round where Loma would, I don't want to say he would be ahead, and then he would let the round go, because Haney wouldn't land anything substantial, even close to what Loma would land in those rounds. Not even close. And Haney was getting hit with some big shots, head-snapping shots. But and then Loma would let off the gas and go on to the next round. And it was kind of like he was like, okay, how much damage do I need to do to win the round? And then he would start taking the round off. But then he won 30 seconds of the round, did more damage in that 30 seconds than anybody, than Haney did in the whole 2.5 minutes that he wasn't getting punched in the face or whatever it was. And even though Haney wasn't doing anything, when you watch one guy land 6 punches or 8 punches, real quick, hard shots, and then you watch one guy chase him around for 2.5 minutes, sometimes landing jabs, sometimes just going sometimes just, it's, I don't want to say it makes it hard to score, right? Because it's obvious, that Loma won the fight by damage, by the most clean and effective punches, the hardest punches. But he was so inactive, for, in a lot of times, not even controlling space, just allowing Haney to come forward and do what Teofimo Lopez did, right? Like the blueprint, right? Jab, jab, body shot, right? Which was an important part of the free offense, right? On top of the fact that when Loma would attack him, Haney would still find the body, right? Disrupting Lomachenko's ability to come forward and set up his offense, really land shots, right? And more importantly than any of that stuff, I actually thought that the fight was pretty good. I've watched it 3 times. I've had a really good time watching it each time. I thought that Haney fought pretty okay. And, in terms of, the rules, in terms of, and more importantly, I think something that I really liked about Haney was that he fought every second of every round. Right? Kinda? There's all these sequences oh, Loma's going to approach the line. He's going to start crossing the line. Oh, that means he's going to pendulum step on you. So now he's going to pendulum step on you. Sometimes you disrupt it, sometimes you don't. And only some of those times that you don't disrupt it do you get hit clean. But Haney would approach the line and be jabbing and controlling and trying to find an opening. Here, control, probe. I think that I can't remember who said it, but someone said it, that what Lomachenko gave everybody was a beautiful performance. Loma's a performer. Is he not a fighter? Because I didn't see Lomachenko the fighter. Right? Like, I'm not saying he lost. But I'm saying I saw that stupid guy who fought Richard Comey and refused to finish him. Who thought he knew better than his opponent. Right? Who he knew better than his coaches. Right? This is a guy who he talked in the beginning about being arrogant. About, I was Lomachenko. I was very arrogant. Did you think you were going to manage the judges any other way than punching this kid in the face? Like, why would you give him so much space? Why would you let your foot off the gas so many times? And I want to say, to be honest, the only thing I can think of is that he's just not training right. Like, he's physically capable of so much, but does he gas out? Now, a few things, right? Well, before I move on, it was a performance from Lomachenko. Right? It was a performance. It was a great performance. I thought he won the fight off the back of his performance, but I thought Haney came to fight. I think Haney came to fight. I think we saw Haney the fighter, and he wasn't as frail as he was against Linares. Like, man, sometimes he looked like he was really gonna fold up against some of these guys. He looked really, really fragile, and Haney looked pretty durable, pretty tough. Took some decent shots. I don't know exactly how hard they are, because I think he hurt him one time in the 10th round. I thought he hurt him in the second round too, but I thought he was almost hurting him every round. But yeah, I thought that Haney, he came to fight. If Haney was like a little bit better at driving his punches from both feet, and a little bit better of a 2-foot puncher, a little bit better with his hands, because he's quick, but he doesn't know what to do with his hands to generate power. He could have knocked Lomachenko out, if he had a little bit better at technique, a little bit better following the rules, a little bit better moving his head, right? If he could get his weight to the ground and come back up a little bit better. Now, it's easier to pull counter and hit somebody to the body than it is to pull counter and hit him to the face. So, again, the technical part, right? It's not like it's this small thing, especially if you're trying to execute at the speed that Lomachenko fights at. But around the 7th round or so, I remember Loma getting hit to the body, and I remember Loma, I don't know, kind of sighing, kind of breathing heavy, kind of, and, we have one more clip too. We have one more really important clip. This is one of the coolest and most interesting clips of the fight, and I want to talk about it a little bit in detail. It's really, really interesting. But it looked like Loma got hurt to the body right here. Now look at this. This looks innocuous, right? This looks innocuous, but Lomachenko, are you some kind of competitor or not? People don't realize, Lomachenko doesn't have any idea what he's done here. Devin Haney's checking his range here. He was just told right now he can touch gloves, and Devin Haney didn't touch gloves. I want to say this is cheating. He's checking his range before the fight. He just touched him to the body. Where's my head going to be? Where's my shoulder going to be? Where am I going to be when I get to the line here? right? Like last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, when they fought at the weigh-in, they told them not to touch Tank Davis. Don't touch him. And I thought that was to stop them from figuring out how much Tank Davis weighed, how strong he was. Not how much he weighed, because we just saw him weigh in, right? But how strong he is. What Devin Haney was checking at the weigh-in, right? When he pushed Loma. Oh, how strong is Loma? Can I fuck with this guy for this long? Can I wear this guy out? But Devin Haney here, he's not touching gloves. He's checking his range because he's going to be looking to throw this punch all night long. And I thought it was really, really interesting. Really, really, It's funny, too, because I want to say, like, Lomachenko, he's on the Olympic team. I don't know if he grew up poor. I don't know that much about Lomachenko, to be honest. I don't know. But this is like some, like, spoiled rich kid shit. Like, you're going to come to the line against somebody, you're going to be standing there, you're just going to let them get free information on you. And like Devin Haney, like I said, he came to fight. He came here to get information. He's like, okay, well, let's start right now. Like Caleb Plant throwing his left hook at Canelo, right? He probably knew immediately he was done, right? Like Conor McGregor, very famously, looking and getting in front of Khabib. And what does he do when he's standing in front of Khabib? He's looking him over. He's looking at every detail. Every detail. Blue lips. He noticed blue lips. Blue lips means something, right? Like there's this football movie they were talking about. You look at a guy and you can tell if he's going to come forward when the guy says hike, or he's going to go backwards by if his knuckles are white, because the pressure when you put your knuckles forward because you're pushing your weight forward or some shit, right? And you can tell. But you're looking for signs of this and that. Like Loma deduced, oh, he's nervous, right? By the push, right? And then you got a real genius, like John Jones. When John Jones comes to the stare down, he don't give you anything. He don't even want to look at you. He doesn't acknowledge you. You're nobody to John Jones. And I love that about John Jones, by the way. When he approaches the line and he's like, not even gonna look at you, just whatever. What am I even here for? Who's this guy? Who the fuck is that guy? But Devin Haney here, he's getting his free information, right? Like me, when I walk up to a guy, I know I'm going to fight this guy, right? If he want to square up with me, I'm crossing his line already. If I'm walking up to you, I'm crossing your line. I'm going to see what I'm looking at. I'm going to see what's it look like over here, over here, over here. But the fight doesn't start, right? Like, one of my favorite quotes of all time, the most brutal and vicious, most ruthless quotes I've ever heard. When did you know you had him in trouble? As soon as he signed the contract. Oh, it's cold. Oh. Immediately the games start, right? Immediately, all of a sudden, he's the center of your attention, right? No one else matters. And anyway, enough about that funny stuff. Devin Haney, right? Devin Haney, Lomachenko. It was a good fight. I think that Devin lost. Devin, he came to fight. He fought. He had a good strategy. He definitely needed to hit Loma in the face more, with some hard shots. Do that thing where you show everybody that you hit him, right? You don't just do the thing where every time you throw a punch, you go, is, and it sounds better than Lomachenko's breathless, smashing punches that are making your head fly around, right? Now, again, real quick, you guys, for those of you that are interested in learning to strike and learning to punch, and, it's a very common misconception that you need to breathe out hard to throw hard punches. Check out Loma. He doesn't do that. Is stuff. He's super fluid and super fast. He hits pretty hard. He's got some mechanical problems. Check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System. If you guys want to learn all the things that Lomachenko doesn't know about what to do with his hands to throw hooks, there's some sequences in there where he throws his straight left hand and then he tries to throw what? Is he throwing a hook? He can't. He doesn't know what to do with his hands to generate power. He's more of a straight punch artist. He's like Lomachenko's like a less boxing version of like Shakur Stevenson in terms of punch technique. But faster, and I think he's a harder puncher than Shakur Stevenson. Yeah, and I think he's faster too. But Shakur Stevenson more likely to box with you on the line, whereas obviously Lomachenko is trying to get around the line and fight in different angles and positions, right? Whereas Stevenson's trying to use the jab and use the straight left hand. But anyway, they both use very similar 2-foot punching structure where they try to throw most of their punches on the front foot. Again, Loma and Shakur, very, very similar, but I think pound for pound, Loma is stronger. Yeah, is stronger than Shakur. Maybe not like actually if they stood next to each other and wrestled. Probably though. But inch for inch, pound for pound, Loma I think is also a better fighter, more skills on average. But still might not even win that fight, right? Anyway, Devin Haney. I think there's a lot of hope for him. He fought at a pace against Lomachenko that not a lot of people could actually compete at. Not a lot of people could fight Loma at this pace, even though he lost. Right? And more importantly, he didn't get knocked out. He did get hurt. I do think he got hurt, but he didn't get knocked out. Which means that maybe those other guys can't knock him out either, right? Loma is not like the biggest puncher, but usually when he gets going, he can hit you enough times that he's going to drop you or get the ref to stop it. Or get your corner to throw in the towel. Yeah. Anyway, don't forget to check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System, blah, 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 blah. Or check out my Patreon. We're going to be watching this entire fight on Patreon. Going round by round, we'll probably score it like a little bit. There'll be a lot of focus on this fight for sure as we talk about like different angles and this and that. And we talk about different stuff and, all that fun stuff. But, yeah. Or if you're looking for a coach and you're looking for... a community of people to train with. I'm anybody who purchases a full year of the coaching on Patreon. I think it's like $500 or something. We'll get a free copy of the Fouts Boxing Combat System, which is a $300 value because that's exactly what I want to teach to my students. So I'll give you a free copy, but you have to buy a year. And once you catch up and you get on pace, and you start learning the stuff in there, and you can, do it, which shouldn't take long, to be honest. Go through some of the patterns and do the drills. I can add you to my personal Discord, and you can train and watch other fighters who are going through the same system, watch them sparring, watch their fights, all that fun stuff. To be honest, it's an insane value, and it should be way more expensive. It's a really, 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 really cool thing, and I do breakdowns of their training videos. I try to do them every week, but I send individual messages, individual videos to people as well. People who send individual videos in and don't want that stuff to be as private or as public all the time. But anyway, if you guys want to learn the Fouts Boxing Combat System, you want to be taught, you want to learn how to throw your best punch. You want to learn to land your best punch. You want to learn how to get off the line. And then you want to learn how to improve your punching power. Okay? And I don't just mean improve a little bit. I mean, you want to learn what Tank Davis does to get speed and power. Ryan Garcia does. You want to learn what made Pretty Boy Floyd. If you want to learn the epitome of pendulum boxing and how driving and fighting with 2-foot punching and a 2-foot punching theory, check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System. There are fighters, that's the only thing that they can do at all. is drive weight from both of their feet. They can't move their head at all, right? Fighters like Naoya Inoue, Artur Beterbiev, they can do it. They can drive it, right? And again, being able to drive your weight from the ground to start into your opponent is the most important part of learning technique, because that's where your kinetic chain starts, is the earth, is the ground, is the mat. That's the first place. And if you're already messed up with your feet, by the time you get to your opponent with your hand, you won't have any power or momentum left. You won't actually be able to punch or strike your opponent. So anybody who has a system that's teaching you how to fight that doesn't take into account the fact that we do everything with our entire bodies, right? And that's the epitome of pendulum boxing, is the understanding that anything that we're not using to strike our opponent should be constantly generating momentum for us through our active guard, okay? Now, for those of you that are new to the channel, real quick, active guard is a theory and a term that I created, that I've taught. Literally, the actual term active guard, I created that, okay? I defined that. I was the first person to say it. But having an active guard helps you generate momentum to add power to your punches, okay? And understanding how to do that at all times is super important, right? It gives you a massive advantage against your opponents. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who did you guys have winning? You know, for all of you guys that had Haney winning, in the comments section, write down what rounds you gave Haney. And when I do my film study on Patreon, I want to specifically look at those rounds and count and, you know, this and that, because the scores were so weird. You know, like, how did Lomachenko, like, one round, the ref gave him one, or the one of the judges gave him the round, and then the other two gave the other guy, and then a different round, Loma won it in this card, and then, you know, 2 out of 3, he's losing, like, you know, anyway, the scorecards were just, I wonder. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Blah, 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 blah.